What is up, my fellow schizotypals? Did you hear that noise? And welcome back to Highlight with Carlisle Fletcher. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Today we're just gonna be going through a couple of things and just shooting the shit. Still trying out these dorky fucking glasses because my eyes are burning out due to fucking obsessive computer use, and there's not exactly science behind them. But we will see if they improve. Honestly, less headaches. Maybe that's just because I need yellow. But what I want to get into today, we're going to talk about autism, talking about gut health, we're going to be talking about things of that nature. Then we're going to be finishing the nose, finally, I know. And then we'll be wrapping up with Stars Hollow, who are a lovely band out of Des Moines, Iowa. So for sure check them out. Nothing but support and love. Anyways, let's get into the fucking show. Oh no, I didn't crop this correctly. Maybe I can, like, on air really smoothly just sort of, yeah, just real smoothly just make that bigger and then just put that down. Oh, I did nothing. Oh, I just made it worse. Yeah, I shouldn't have removed my other window, so I fucked up. But, okay, let's see. Maybe I can make it bigger that way. Yeah, that looks fine. That looks fine. It will just make me smaller, right? Isn't it so fucking cool to be a part of Highlight figuring it out? Alright, anyways. So, this is about inflammatory bowel disease, so IBD. And although it's not approved, people have been using it for IBD, and we're just going to be going in through some of the literature, which is... So, 51 and 48% of people with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease reported being lifetime users of cannabis. They cited relief from diarrhea and abdominal pain, in addition to increased appetite as a benefit of cannabis. The people with a history of abdominal surgery and long-term use of pain medication were also more likely to use cannabis. I just wanted to highlight that, because it's like, they're more likely to use cannabis or hashish. And they began doing it like 4 years earlier than healthy controls. Which shows that, like, there's this people, like, it's like when your bowels are turned against you, I mean, people are going to seek treatment, and this seems to be the treatment that people are, looking for. The thing that I thought that was interesting about this is that I think it's very underdeveloped, or very underrelated, or very underdiscussed. We've discussed it on the show, but autism spectrum disorder is a range of neurodevelopmental conditions that are sharply increasing in prevalence worldwide. Intriguingly, ASD is often accompanied by an array of systematic aberrations, including 1. Increased serotonin, 2. Various modes of gastrointestinal disorders, and 3. IBD, albeit the underlying cause for such comorbidities remains uncertain. Also, accumulating numbers of studies report that the gut microbial composition is significantly altered in children with ASD or patients with IBD. Surprisingly, when we analyzed the gut microbiota of poly-IC and VPA-induced mouse models of ASD, we found a distinct pattern of microbial dysbiosis that highly recapitulated those reported clinical cases of ASD and IBD. Moreover, we report that such microbial dysbiosis led to the notable perturbations in microbiologic metabolic pathways that are known to negatively affect the host, especially with regards to the pathogenesis of ASD and IBD. Last, we found that serum levels of serotonin is significantly increased in both poly and VPA mice, and that it correlates with increase of a bacterial genus and metabolic pathway that are implicated in stimulation of host serotonin production. Our results using an animal model identify prenatal environmental risk factors of autism as a possible causation agent of IBD-related gut microbial dysbiosis in ASD, suggest a multifaceted role of gut microbiota in the systematic pathogen of ASD and hyperserotonemia. So why is that rat study important? Because we got it in humans too. The ASD and IBD both have multifunctional pathogens and an increasing number of studies demonstrating gut-brain associations. They conducted a retrospective case cohort study using records from the military health database. Children with ASD were more likely to meet criteria for Crohn's and ulcerative colitis compared to control. So, it's like, yeah. So it's like people with IBD are smoking cannabis, Like IBD is correlated with ASD, and we found that even children with ASD are more likely to have Crohn's or UC. So there seems to be a distinct connection between that microflora and the brain. And this was something we went through earlier, but this is a systematic review of the literature. And they went through 4 databases. So we went through, this is a Brazilian study. But so they went through PubMed, they went through Scielo, they went through Scopus and Web of Science, and they analyzed the articles, and they found out of 425 articles, 411 were excluded, resulting in 6 articles. So 5 used extracts, 2 used CBD and oral solution, and 1 used CBDV. So then, like, they had different things, but of the studies evaluated, a small percentage, about 2 to 14%, presented side effects with the use of cannabis products, such as sleep disorders, restlessness, nervousness, change in appetite, in addition to moderate irritability, diarrhea, increased appetite, conjunctival, hyperemia, behavioral problems, decreased cognition, fatigue, and aggression/agitation. There was a psychotic symptom in 1 child in a single case study. She interrupted treatment with CBD and THC and switched. The symptoms resolved after 9 days. So, it seems like a relatively safe option. Keep in mind that they are also literally putting these kids on antipsychotics. And another treatment that I know, so having a lot of autistic friends, they put them on Ritalin and Adderall very quickly. And as we've discussed 2 episodes ago, Adderalls and stimulants are much more likely to cause psychotic reactions in people. So when you're looking at that and you're looking at, like, why are we giving these kids those? I can accept that you don't want them to smoke, but at the very least, why would they be on Adderall? And then here we have a study on tobacco users, cannabis users, and those who use both. So they separated the 3 categories, and they found that those who used both and those who smoked cigarettes had a higher level of exhaled carbon monoxide, total nicotine equivalents, metabolites of this material, and all 4 measured mercapturic acids than only cannabis smokers. So co-users and cigarette smokers demonstrated comparable levels of biomarker and exposure to harmful constitutes despite smoking similar amounts of tobacco. Cannabis smokers demonstrated lower level of toxin exposure for most biomarkers. So we have tobacco smokers, we have people who smoke tobacco and cannabis, and we have cannabis smokers. And the tobacco and cannabis smokers showed a similar level of exposure to toxicants, while the cannabis users did not, which shows that those toxicants, just logically, this might not be accurate, but it should be accurate, that is due to cigarette smoke, and those toxins are being picked up through that, or else you would see it in the cannabis using only group as well. So that's fascinating. That's published out of the Oxford. So and this is something I thought was interesting because it's a negative. So Oxford published, but it's a negative thing that's showing that cigarette smokers who increased their frequency of cannabis use were significantly less likely to quit. So, like, the thing that I think is funny about this is, like, smokers are less likely to quit if they keep smoking. I'd like to see this study done again, separating for oral use and, like, water soluble, oil soluble, and, like, what kind of, I'll review it further, but I'm pretty sure they did not separate for those things, but I think it's interesting. I do think it's also obvious that, smoking cannabis after you're quitting cigarettes won't really help you quit. You should just be not smoking. It's going to be too psychosomatic for you to just, not notice it or feel anything. So I think that checks out. I don't think that's really a negative study that's hard to find a place for. And this is just a study done on the Canadian market on about, like, what people are buying for, and what really drives people is price. Obviously, it's price, especially without insurance. So it's so expensive, in the legal stores. As long as you lower the price, the black market's going to lower, and you're just going to get more money and bang for your dollar, and you have more choice. So the price mattered most different to experienced and or frequent users. So frequent users typically go to the black market. Quality. So a shared understanding of cannabis. I think this is very important. The shared understanding of cannabis quality did not exist among the participants. While not mutually exclusive, the patient's perception of quality broke down into three main categories regarding the product: meeting federal regulation standards, safe and effective, cultivated to cater to the user's experience. So, people who don't want bug mites and molds, people who want to make sure that they're getting that dope indica, bro, and just their experiences, favorite strains, things like that, and trichomes, I just think it's a interesting conversation. Social influences are obviously very huge because it's well, what do you suggest? What do my friends suggest? So I just thought that this was an interesting report to be put out, just to look at how people do smoke weed. I mean, to me, I would say I'm one of the bare minimum guys. I'm looking for a strain that is adequate enough to just sort of provide enough alleviating effects. I'm looking for that bare minimum entry round, basically, I would say. So for me, it's looking at something that is easily smokable, that's not going to fuck you up. It's not like caviar where it's rubbed in keef and wax, because that shit is. But obviously price, and then quality. But I don't think that there's going to be an understanding of what quality cannabis is for at least some time. And then we have literature review, which finds that the core symptoms of autism in children improve from treatment with cannabis. So we're going to throw that one back into this category. So, yeah. 5 things on autism, 2 things on smoking, and then how people purchase things. And that's just generally basic update on some stuff, because I think that it is really, I'm trying to really build out this holistic understanding of mental illness, because there's 2 things that I think are crucial when dealing with mental illness. The first one, obviously the most important one, is responsibility. And the reason why I bring that up is that it's you can't excuse people from their actions for mental illness entirely. You still need to make them, you have to encourage people to be as self-responsible, self-determining, and etc. as you can. So I would say I'm not trying to, when I say allowing, encouraging people to be themselves, I'm not encouraging somebody to have no interaction with the outside world. It's encouraging people to, go on a walk, start doing exercise, start eating better. Because, it's we've had these doctors who it's we've been getting fatter for decades and decades. And, in school, every time you go to a doctor, they're it's eat better, exercise, do these things. They're not telling you to take a pill to get thinner. They're telling you to change your lifestyle to get thinner. So it's if you're too anxious, if you're not really understanding reality and all these things, it's what can you do in your life to address these things? Because maybe you're not the issue. Maybe you're not crazy, and maybe you're not, maybe you're not broken. Maybe you just need a different context. Maybe you just need more support. Maybe you just need a healthy outlet. That's the thing about, just my experience with dealing with people with mental illness. If you give an autistic person attention, they typically go pretty well, because autistic people aren't really, in my experience, and again, this is not all, but this is just me sharing my experience having autistic people in my life. They're not wrong. They're not really difficult to understand. You just need to listen more, because they have a longer thing to explain. They're very hyper-focused people, and you just gotta make them feel like you care about what they're saying. I feel like that's the best way to explain it. And if you can do that, you can have some lovely conversations, and you won't really even notice anything's off. So, and with with skitsy people, just understand that my brain goes bing, bang, boom. And sometimes I'm in outer space and I just have ideas. And if you like any of them, please let me talk about them because they keep coming every fucking second of the day. And I can't stop the endless information overload that isn't even from the world around me. It's just thoughts that are connecting things. And I don't know. So when somebody just... so it's like it's different because with autism you just need patience to listen to what they're saying. With skizzy people you need to kind of get it, you know, whether that's like an alien theory or like a sort of magic theory or just some, it's usually an eccentric idea, and if you can get it, then you can have a functional conversation. And the reason why I bring up this stuff is that it's like, yeah, sure, these people might be weird, they might not be exactly what you wanted from your surfer son, but they're totally functional people who I think are beautiful and have a lot to offer into society as they are. I don't really think that you need to medicate them in all cases. I think that lifestyle, diet, responsibility, and all of these things can do a lot for treatment. The stuff that I run into an issue with is that I had two narcissistic parents, so I had an overt and a covert narcissistic parent. So one of each, and I spent my entire life trying to change them, and then they died on me and couldn't change, because that's like the issue with narcissistic people, is that you get them to the point that they don't want to admit, because usually narcissism is a false sense of self built around an incredible sense of shame that threatens to destroy the very person. So then it's like once you like break down those defenses, that shame comes out, and then they're just a worm. Not to be offensive, because I do try to respect everybody and what they're going through. But just in my experience of trying to help people like that, yeah, I got fucking nowhere. Because the thing about it is that you keep teaching them things, and then they keep getting better and better at manipulating people because you're giving them more information, because you're trying to help them understand themselves and get better, and then that gives, you know, it just doesn't... And that's where it's like, with that, I admit, I don't know what the fuck to do. So yeah, go to a therapist. I don't know, that's not my fucking problem. But with other mental illnesses, I do believe that there is a high degree of self-determination and self-treatment that can do fucking wonders. Like, again, like something for bipolar people, sleep. I don't care how you need to do it. Get a girlfriend, get a cat, smoke weed. Don't drink. Drinking is not going to do it. But anything else that like gets you to do regular sleep, 8 hours every single day, will change your life. You'll get everything just totally different, dude. Like, it just, and like eat regularly. Like, just do things regularly, and like it's a medicine in itself. You don't need the mood stabilizer if you are stable. But I mean, that's pretty much the wrap up on that rant. But I just wanted to, you know, it's like, because it's a very delicate system, the body. You know, so it's like when you're talking about like autism and things like this, it's like, yeah, if everybody with autism has IBD, maybe there's something fucked up with the gut. I think it's also leaky gut is very correlated with autism. And it's like, I would be addressing this. I'd be addressing this. Maybe like probiotics or like some sort of... I would be doing more of that theory and trying to make sure that people's bodies are balanced and healthy than I would be introducing foreign chemicals to try to address something which I believe to be a flaw in their psychology. You know what I mean? Like, I just find it difficult to relate to wanting to treat people that way. Because I don't think, I mean, again, I think if you treat them, I don't think victimhood achieves anything. I come from a family with a lot of rape, a lot of violence, and, I mean, it was terrible. It's a terrible childhood. I didn't really get to learn what I liked. I didn't really get to ever feel comfortable. I still don't really know how to express any positive emotions because nobody authentically expressed positive emotions in my house. But at the same time, I don't want to look at myself as a victim, because that means that people who hurt me get to define me, and they get to define my life. And that means that I am living in reaction to people who didn't love me. The people who didn't love me and who didn't care about me. The people who weren't my allies. I'm letting define how I view, treat, and live my life, you know? So, I think that if you can shift from victim to agent, essentially from, like, childhood into adulthood, this is where I'm talking about, like, trying to, like, bring maturity back and, like, make maturity less underrated is that it's like then you get to be your own dad, dude. And like, yeah, sure, maybe your dad fucked up with you, but then once you get to inhabit that role of the adult, then you're like, okay, so what do I want to go on in my house? What do I want to eat? How much do I want to exercise? Who do I want to know? Like, you know, all of a sudden you're getting the choice and the control over these things that if you guide well, could really improve your life. Could really improve your life, change the way that you look at you, and change the way that you look at the world. So, that's, that one's that. So, let's get back into the nose. Let's see, where are we at? Let's kind of like have a cuppa. Kindly take a cup of tea with me today. I'd consider it a great pleasure, but I really can't. I must go to the House of Correction. The price of all products has gone up so expensively. I got my mother-in-law, that is my wife's mother, living with me, and the children. For the oldest in particular, we have great hopes. He's very clever lad, but there's no mean at all for his education. And then he gave him some money and he left. On the policeman's departure, the collegiate assessor remained in some vague state for a few minutes. Only after several minutes acquired the ability to see and feel. Such obliviousness came on account of the unexpected joy. He carefully took the found nose in his two cupped hands and once again studied it attentively. That's it, all right, Major Kovalev kept repeating. There's the pimple that popped out on the left side yesterday. The Major almost laughed for joy. But nothing in this world lasts for long, and therefore joy in the minute that follows the first is less lively, and the third minute it becomes still weaker, and finally emerges imperceptibly with one's usual state of mind, as a ring in the water, born of a stone's fall, finally merges with a stone's surface. Kovalev began to reflect and realized that the matter was not ended yet. The nose has been found and it still had to be attached to put in its place. And what if it doesn't stick? At this question presented to himself, the Major blanked. With a feeling of inexplicable fear, he rushed to the table and set the mirror before him so as not to put the nose on somehow askew. His hands were trembling. Carefully and cautiously he applied it to its former place. Oh, horror! The nose did not stick! He held it to his mouth, warmed it a little with his breath, and again brought it to the smooth space between his two cheeks, but in no way would the nose hold on. Well, so, stay there, you fool, he said to it. But the nose was as if made of wool, and kept falling onto the table with a strange, cork-like sound. The Major's face twisted convulsively. Can it be that it won't grow back on? He repeated in fear. But no matter how many times he put it in its proper place, his effort remained unsuccessful. He called Ivan and sent him for the doctor, who occupied the best apartment on the first floor of the same building. This doctor was an imposing man, possessed of a handsome, pitch-black side whiskers, and of a fresh, robust doctress. Ate fresh apples in the morning, and kept his mouth extraordinarily clean by rinsing every morning for nearly 3/4 of an hour, and polishing his teeth with 5 sorts of different brushes. The doctor came the same minute. Having asked him how long ago the misfortune had occurred, he raised Major Kovalev's face by the chin, and flicked him with the thumb in the very place where the Norman had formerly been, which made the Major throw his head back so hard that it struck the wall behind. The physician said nothing, advised him to move away from the wall a bit, and told him to tip his head to the right first, and having palpitated the spot where the nose had been, said, Then he told him to tip his head to the left, said, and in conclusion flicked him again with his thumb, which made Major Kovalev jerk his head back like a horse having its teeth examined. After performing this test, the physician shook his head and said, No, it's impossible. You better stay the way you are, because it might come off still worse. Of course, it could be attached. I could perhaps attach it for you now, but I'm sure it will be the worse for you. Well, that's just fine. How can I stay without a nose, says Kovalev. It can't be worse than now. This is a simple devil's nose, what? Where can I show myself with such lampoonery? I have good acquaintances. Today alone I have to be at soirees in 2 houses. I know many people. Check Hertavera, a state councilor's wife, Potocina, a state officer's wife. And then after this, I thought I won't have to deal with her except through the police. Do me the kindness, Kovalev said in a pleading voice. Isn't there some remedy? Attach it somehow, maybe not so perfectly, so long as it holds. I can even prop it up with my hands on dangerous occasions. Besides, I don't dance, so I can't injure it with some careless movement. Regarding my gratitude for your visits, rest assured that everything my means will permit. Believe me, the doctor said in a voice neither loud nor soft, but extremely affable and magnetic. I never treat people for profit. That is against my rules and my art. True, I take money for visits, but solely as to not give offense by refusing. Of course, I could attach your notes, but I assure you on my honor, if you do not believe my word, that will be much worse. You better leave it to the effect of nature herself. Watch it frequently with cold waters, and I assure that you'd be as healthy without a nose as with one. As for the nose, I advise you put it in a jar of alcohol, or better still, add 2 tablespoons of aquafortis in warm vinegar. Then you'll get decent money for it. I'll even buy it myself if you don't put too high a price on it. No, 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 I won't sell it for anything, cried the desperate Major Kovalev. Better let it perish. Excuse me, said the doctor, bowing off. I wish to be of use to you. Nothing to be done. At least you see how I've tried. Having said this, the doctor, with a noble bearing, left the room. Kovalev did not even notice his face, but plunged in profound insensibility, saw only the cuffs of his shirt, clean and white as snow, peeking out from the sleeves of his black tailcoat. He resolved to write off to the state staff officer's wife the next day, before filing a complaint, on the chance that she might agree to return to him what she owed without a fight. The content of the letters was as follows. My dear Madam Alexandria Gregornievna, I am unable to understand the strange act on your part. Rest assured that in believing in this fashion you gain nothing, and will by no means prevail upon me to marry your daughter. Believe me, I am perfectly well informed concerning the story of my nose, as well as the fact that none other than the 2 of you are the main participants in it, and its sudden detachment from its place, its flight, its disguising itself first as an official, and now finally as its own self, are nothing else but the results of witchcraft, performed either by you or by those who exercise similarly noble occupations. I, for my part, consider it my duty to warn you. If the above-mentioned nose of mine is not back in place the same day, I shall be forced to resort to the shelter and protection of the law. Nevertheless, with the utmost respect for you, I have the honor of being your humble servant, Planton Kovalev. My dear Sir Planton, I am extremely astonished by your letter. I confess to you in all frankness, I never expected the less with so much regard to unjust reproaches on your part. I warn you that I have never received the official you mentioned in my health, either disguised or as his real self. True, Philip Ivanich Patanov used to visit me, as though he indeed sought my daughter's hand, being himself of good, sober behavior and good learning. I never gave him reason for any hope. You also mentioned a nose. If by that you mean I supposedly led you by the nose and intended to refuse you formally, I'm surprised that you speak of it, since I, as you know, was of the completely opposite opinion. And if you were to approach from my daughter in a lawful fashion right now, I would be ready to satisfy you at once, for this has always constituted the object of my liveliest desire, and hopes of which I remain always ready to be at your service. No, said Kovalev after reading the letter. She's clearly not guilty. So that's the letter. Sorry that I'm just reading and not scrolling on the fucking webpage. What a day, what a day. No, Kovalev said after reading the letter. She's clearly not guilty. The way that the letter is written, it couldn't have been written by a person guilty of a crime. The collegiate assessor was informed of such matters because he had been sent out on investigation several times while still in the caucus. How then on earth did it happen? The devil alone can sort it all out, he said, finally dropping his arms. Meanwhile, rumors of this remarkable incident, spread all over the capital, and as usually happens, not without special additions. Just then everyone's mind was precisely attuned to the extraordinary. Only recently the public had been taken on with experiments on the effect of magnetism. What's more, how do they fucking work? What's more, the story about the dancing chairs on Konya Street was still fresh. And thus it was no wonder people soon began saying that the nose of the collegiate assessor went strolling on Nevsky Prospect at exactly 3 o'clock. Hordes of the curious thronged there every day. Some said that the nose was supposed to be in a junker shop, and as in such a crowd and crush formed outside the junkers that the police even had to intervene. One speculator of respectable appearance with side whiskers, who sold various kinds of cookies at the entrance to the theater, had some fine, sturdy wooden benches specially made, which he invited the curious to stand on for 80 kopeck per visitor. One worthy colonel left home earlier specifically for that, and made his way through the crowd with great difficulty, but to his great indignation, he saw in the shop window, instead of a nose, an ordinary woolen jacket and lithograph portraying a girl straightening a stocking in a fop, with a turned-back waistcoat and a small beard peeping at her from behind a tree, a picture that had been hanging in the same place for over 10 years. He walked off, saying vexedly, "How is it possible to upset people with such stupid and implausible rumors?" Then the rumor spread that Major Kovalev's nose went strolling not on Nevsky's Prospect, but on the Tavritsky Garden, and he had long been going there, that when Korev's Mizna lived there, he wondered greatly at this strange sport of nature. Some students from the College of Surgeons went there. One noble, respectable lady, in a special letter, asked the overseer of the garden to show this rare phenomenon to her children, and if possible, with explanation instructive and edifying for the young. All these events were extreme joy for the inevitable frequenters of social gathering, who delight in making the ladies laugh, and whose stock was by then completely exhausted. A small portion of respectable and right-minded people was extremely displeased. One gentleman said with indignation that he did not understand how such a preposterous inventions could be spread in our enlightened age, and that he was astonished by the government paid no attention to it. And this gentleman was obviously one of those gentlemen who wished to make the government into everything, even their daily quarrels with their wives. This gentleman was obviously one of those gentlemen who wished to mix the government into everything, even their daily quarrels with their wives. After that, but here again the whole incident is shrouded in mist, and what came later is decidedly unknown. So we're almost done. This short story is fucking amazing. It's amazing. It's so fucking funny. Gogol does kill it, man. That's like the thing about just reading classic lit, is that it's like, damn. And also, so like the 1800s were that kind of sweet spot where it's classic lit, but it does, like, this feels incredibly modern. We're talking about witchcraft. We're talking about you know. Also, like, the nose has to be the dick. We're talking about getting his nose cut off because he's like fucking this woman's daughter, and he doesn't want to marry her. He doesn't have a nose. Feels like less of a man because he doesn't have a nut. Perfect nonsense goes on in the world. Sometimes there is no plausibility at all. Suddenly, as if nothing was wrong, that same nose which has driven around in the state of a rank counselor and has made such a stir in town was back in place. That is precisely between the two cheeks of Major Kovalev. This happened on the 7th of April. Waking up and chancing to look in the mirror, he saw the nose. He grabbed it with his hand. Yes, the nose! Aha! Said Kovalev, and in his joy he burst into a trepek all around the room, but Ivan hindered him by coming in. He ordered a wash at once, and as he was washing, again glanced in the mirror. The nose! Drying himself with a towel, he again glanced in the mirror. The nose! Look, Ivan, I think I've got a pimple on my nose, he said, and thought, meanwhile, what a disaster if Ivan says, no, sir, not only no pimple, but no nose either. But Ivan said, nothing, sir, no pimple, and the nose is clean. Good, devil take it, the major said to himself, snapped his fingers. At that moment, the barber Ivan Yakovlevich peeked in the door, but timorously as a cat that had just been beaten for stealing lard. Tell me first, are your hands clean? Kovalev cried to him from afar. Yes, lies. By God, they're clean now, sir. Well, watch yourself now. Kovalev sat down. Ivan covered him with a towel, and in an instant, with the aid of brush, transformed his whole chin and part of his cheeks into a cream, such as served on merchants' birthdays. Look at that, Ivan Yakovlevich said to himself, glancing at the nose. Then he tipped the head the other way and looked at it from the side. There, now, really, just think of it. He continued and went on looking at the nose for a long time. At last, lightly, as cautiously as one can imagine, he raised 2 fingers so as to grasp the tip of it. Such was Ivan Yakovlevich's system. Oh-ho, watch out, cried Kovalev. Ivan Yakovlevich dropped his arms, more confused and taken aback than he ever seen before. Finally, he started tickling carefully under his chin with the razor, and thought it was quite difficult and inconvenient for him to get a shave without holding on to the smelling part of his body. Nevertheless, his rough thumb on the cheek and lower jaw, he finally overcame all obstacles and shaved him. When everything was ready, Kovalev hastened at once to get dressed, hired a cab, and drove straight to the pastry shop. Going in, he cried from afar, "A hot chocolate, boy!" and instantly went up to the mirror, and the nose was there. He gaily turned around, and with a satirical air, squinted one eye a little, looked at 2 military men, one of whom had a nose no bigger than a waistcoat button. After that, he went to the office of the department where he had solicited a post as vice-governor, or failing that, as an executive. Passing through the waiting room, he looked in the mirror. The nose was there. Then he went to see another collegiate assessor, or a major, a great mocker, to whom he had often said in response to various needling remarks, "Well, I don't know you, you sharpie." "Well, don't I know you, sharpie?" "Don't I know you, you sharpie?" What the fuck? Alright. On the way there, he thought, even if the major doesn't split from laughing when he sees me, there's a sure sign that whatever is there is sitting where it should. From the collegiate assessor, nothing. Good, devil take it, Kovalev thought to himself. On his way, he met Podchina, the staff officer's wife, with his daughter, greeted them and was met with joyful exclamations. Nothing, then, he was in no way damaged. He talked with them for a very long time and purposely taking out a snuff box. Spent a very long time in front of them, filling his nose from both entrances, murmuring to himself, "There, that's for you females, hen folk. And even so, I won't marry the daughter, just like that, par more, if you please." And Major Kovalev strolled on thereafter, as if nothing was wrong, on Nevsky Prospect, and in the theaters, and everywhere. And his nose also sat on his face as if nothing was wrong, not even showing a sign that it had ever gone anywhere. And after that, Major Kovalev was seen eternally in good humor, smiling, chasing after decidedly all the pretty ladies, and even stopping in front of a shop in the Merchant's Arcade to buy some ribbon or other. No one knows for what reason, since he was not himself the bearer of any decoration. Such was the story that occurred in the northern capital of a vast country. Only now, on overall reflection, we can see that there was much of the implausible in it, to say nothing of the strangeness of the supernatural detachment of the nose and its appearance in various places in the guise of state councilor. How was it that Kovalev did not realize he ought to make an announcement about the nose through the newspaper office? I'm speaking here not in the sense that I think it costly to pay for an announcement. That is nonsense. And I'm not to be numbered among the mercenary, but it is indecent, inept, and injudicious. And then, too, how did the nose end up in that baked bread? And how did Ivan himself? No, that I just do not understand. I decidedly do not understand. But what is the strangest, what is most incomprehensible of all, is how authors can choose such subjects. I confess, that is utterly inconceivable. It is simply no. I utterly fail to understand. In the first place, there is decidedly no benefit to the fatherland. In the second place, there's also no benefit. I simply don't know what. And yet, for all that, though it is certainly possible to allow them one thing, and another, and a third perhaps even, and then, too, are there not incongruities everywhere? And yet, once you reflect on it, there really is something to all this. Say what you like, but such incidents do happen in the world. Rarely. But they do happen. And that was The Nose. We're finally done. Fucking, I would say top 5 short stories. Maybe my favorite. Oh my god. I feel like I don't remember this one too well, but no, I don't like. I'm not gonna bring that one up. But yeah, Google, whatever. Fuck. The Nose. I think that is an example of a short. Like, I feel like every single short story writing class should have that, because it's hilarious. It follows like a really good rule structure and pacing. I mean, they literally had a censor, so it had to make sense. But at the same time, it's so magic and liberated in its form. Like, it's like Russian realism, but like about witchcraft. This guy had he was caught in the bread and there's a nose in it. Why? I don't know. When I first read that as like I think I was a teenager. When I first read that, I was just like, because they're always talking about like fucking Mark Twain and like fucking all those people. They're always just like, and then like, this shit is so much better. We can't read this because the commies didn't like him. That's not true. The commies did like Gogol, but still, it's like, oh, this is a Russian author. It was banned in 1960. Camus was banned. How the fuck is Camus even a close to dangerous author? He's like a fucking cigarette pretty boy. But anyways, yeah. So that's The Nose. I love it. It's fantastic. Really cannot suggest Gogol enough. These are my favorite translators. This is my favorite edition. But this is the collected tales. It's not all of them, but it's a lot of them. Dead Souls, the first part of it's so fucking funny. Also, Dead Souls like completely predicted voter fraud. We're not. All right. I feel okay. So we're gonna try to talk around that one, but so the idea is that there's this guy who's like a landowner, right? He's like a really poor landowner where he owns an estate, but has like no serfs, and serfs are slaves. But the way that Russia works is it's not racial-based slavery; it's just poverty. So they call them souls, and then so you go around and you buy serfs. But this guy, he went around the countryside, and he was buying dead serfs. So he's buying dead souls. And it's just funny because it's like when you see people talking about that happening in like political. It's just like it's just so direct to me that's the best comparison I have. Another one that I feel like as an American people should just check out is The Thick of It. It's got some funny movies and like crossovers, but like just watch like the first 2 or 3 seasons of The Thick of It. You'll understand British politics forever. You'll just understand the rest of it. It's fine. You'll get it. But anyways, that was the show. That was the week of highlights. Sorry, that was kind of a weird week, but feel like we did good. Feel like we had fun. These are Des Moines, Iowa, Stars Hollow, at JJ in Wisconsin. Fucking love this venue. These talking to them went really well. Fuck yeah, really support their music. Check them out. Check them out on Bandcamp. Please support them. Gonna obviously be playing their music right quick. Otherwise, please like, comment, and subscribe. Highlight Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We don't fuck with Mondays. We don't fuck with Thursdays. Hit the bell button. To be honest, I have not hit the bell button many times in my life, but please do it for me. And I think they're good. They're good. I feel like I'm fucking from Top Gun right now. We'll come out to the metro. As far as live goes,
Like I said, Worcester's Hollow. Give it up for every band that's played so far tonight. Everyone's been so cool. Big fucking love to Honey Creek, because Honey Creek is playing next, and they are letting us use like all their gear. Because we're going to Japan in a couple days to tour. Which is fucking crazy. I didn't think I'd ever say that in my life. We're gonna play an old one that we haven't played in a very long time. This one's called Embarrassed. Thank you, you guys are. We have merch, please buy it so that we don't die in Japan. My mom's really worried about it. She's like, we can't fly over to Japan and get your dead body. And I was like, okay, just leave it. Bury me in anime. It's fine. We're about to play some songs off an EP called Happy Again. Yeah, and we're gonna play front to back, and then we'll be out of your hair. Then Honey fucking Creek is gonna play some songs. And it's gonna be sick.
We love him. He's a national treasure. Sorry, you know what I'm about. You know what I'm about to be doing. You know what's coming next at this point.
It's not that.
Minecraft, so we're leaving it all for the show.
sticking around and coming to watch. We've been Star Solo. We have 2 songs left. I am fucking dying right now. Please buy merch if you can. If not, be our friend at least. That'd be cool. I'm gonna take a drink of water and then we're gonna play. I'm now opening the water. I'm now drinking the water. first time we played at JJ's where we haven't had a massive technical difficulty. So shouts out to Good Luck. Woo! This song's called As You Were Before.
And there's still a song to go, so fuck it.
Yeah, jinxed it. Fuck it.
I'm so fucking hot.
Thank you again. Stick around for, oh my god, ouch, Honey Creek. I cut my hair recently. Sweat and ice, not good. Like I said, we're going to Japan. That's expensive. It's stupid. I don't know why we're doing it besides the fact that it's really cool. But, so anime, yeah. Bury me in anime. Hell yeah, baby.
This perspective's too fucking funny. Hey, look, I'm at the show. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Totally worth the $15 cover. Fuck yeah, bro. So that's just, yeah. But anyways, that's Stars Hollow. Obviously, I really dug this band. Great performance. Check them out. I don't even know. Them. Those guys. Des Moines, Iowa. Stars Hollow. Check them out. Support them. Thank you so much for letting me put your fucking music on my show. I'm in your crowd. I'm fucking around. I'm having way too much fun with this show. I'm having way too much fucking fun. Anyways, be back Tuesday. We're gonna try to do stuff. I don't know. Oh yeah, we're gonna be launching an OnlyFans soon. No, it's not gonna be for that. But
It'll be fun. Anyways, it's been me. It's been Lyle. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Smash that like button.